So how are we doing? Turns out she was making it up all along. Wow, this is seismic. This has so many implications and repercussions, and forgive me, it means to me that every single person that I met in court who came up to me and told me their story and told me that they recognized the patterns of abuse in their abuser, in Amber Heard, and all the men who said that they'd been to court and been disbelieved and been disproportionately punished by the judicial system. This decision today is seismic because it is vindication for so many people who clearly feel marginalised and clearly feel that the state don't care about them and there is no legal provision for their perspective. Now, we've had a lot of different perspectives on this court case. I mean, by the way, you do know that Johnny Depp won, don't you? I'm assuming that you're watching this video because you knew Johnny Depp won. We had the verdict in court behind us at 3 o'clock. There was a false start as the judge opened the jurors' verdict, had a look at it, got to the final page and said, there's a bit of a problem here. She told the parties to approach and both sets of lawyers came up to them and she then explained to the jurors that basically they had found someone to have defamed the other party and they hadn't put in the level of damages that they were going to give them as a result. So cue much embarrassment, the jurors had to go back out and put a figure on the decision, and we were all of a tizzy because A, we didn't know how long they were going to take to make their decision, and B, we knew then that someone had definitely succeeded in their defamation suit, but we didn't know who. It didn't take long before the jury came back, so we all hustled our way back into court, and then we had the final verdict from the jury. And the final verdict was that Johnny Depp has won his defamation case against Amber Heard, hands down. Every single count, so the 3 areas of that 2018 Washington Post article were proved to on clear and convincing evidence. That's the burden of proof, the clear and convincing evidence that malice was involved by Amber Heard when she wrote that article. Now, this has so many huge implications for everything, not just the men's rights movement, not just people who want to make it absolutely plain that from their personal experience and knowledge, women can be abusers and manipulative abusers as well. But it also has really interesting implications for the First Amendment and free speech, because that article was not explicit by any means, but the jury was so convinced that it was done with defamatory intent and it was done with malice, and crucially, that it was completely untrue, that they found in Johnny Depp's favour. Amber Heard did win one of her 3 counts of defamation. She won $2 million for Adam Waldman telling the Daily Mail that she and her friends had concocted an attempted hoax on the LAPD back in 2016, and they said that was actually a defamatory statement, but she failed on the other 2 counts of defamation in which Adam Waldman spoke specifically about Amber Heard's abuse. And so Amber Heard has now been found in a court of law by a jury in Virginia unanimously to have essentially made up every single one of her abuse allegations. And whilst I don't think anyone thinks that she deserves what has happened to her on social media and the vilification that she's received, the fact that she essentially lied, that in Johnny Depp's words, she started one little lie and then appears to have embellished and entrenched and dug and dug and dug and dug and dug and besmirched his reputation for the best part of 6 years, will, I think, make huge waves in so many different ways. And of course, there's the other side issue to this, of the UK verdict, in which a single judge found that on the balance of probabilities, Amber Heard's accusations were substantially true. So there will be doctoral theses, no doubt, written by budding law students on the differences between the 2 cases. But I think in terms of, I mean, I don't know Johnny Depp and I don't know what he's doing other than being in the UK right now, but it's the people who supported him who should rightfully feel vindicated, because there were times when the mainstream media and public opinion, largely on the back of that UK judgment and on the back of that DVRO that Amber Heard took out, looked very unfavourably towards him. And as we heard from his agent, he hasn't been doing much work recently. So that all has changed. Now, rather than a park bench interview, things were rather busy on the park benches earlier. It's hard to believe that what looked like the world's media was occupying that little patch of concrete behind me just 4 hours ago. Things were a little busy and I was called away to do various broadcast media commitments, and so I couldn't actually arrange a park bench interview. So what I did was I took my little phone and microphone amongst the people who were watching the lawyers disappear, and I did some interviews with them.
I thought it was the verdict was a great validation of the jury system, and the fact that the jury agreed with what appears to have been the public sentiment was a great reflection on the fact, again, that the jury is made up of people from the community. I'm glad that their view was the same as the community by and large, and it's a very positive thing. I think it reflects well on, quite honestly, on the United States, because this has been our system for a very long time, and I think the wisdom of the people who designed the system the way they did was profound, and that was hundreds of years ago, and we're still reaping the benefits today.
And I also managed to do an interview with Becca Fontanilla, who has been on this YouTube update and podcast for a number of occasions, and I think this is her 4th time on it. I've grown to know Becca very well, as I got to know Natasha in the last update over the course of this trial, and Becca has always been very gracious in giving interviews and never given an interview to any other media until the verdict. And so I stumbled across her being interviewed by a broadcast media camera, and I tapped her up and asked if she would mind doing one more stint for me. She very kindly agreed, and Tiffany, who has been at Becca's side for most of the last week or so, well, all trial, but as certain companions have fallen away, Tiffany and Becca have been attending the trial together, and so I'm grateful to Tiffany for filming this. I think you'll find she does a very good job. Seismic result. First of all, congratulations. You supported Johnny Depp from day one. You were here, you didn't believe the allegations against him, and now he's been vindicated, not just in the court for public opinion, but also a court in seven jurors, 7 peers. And you always said you'd respect the jury's verdict, and a clean sweep in terms of his claim.
Correct, yeah. I mean, I had no doubts, but you just never know, you know?
I know you never know, but I mean, the fact that he's had to spend this much money in order to clear his name, he's had to go through that process of being cancelled, he's had to go through the humiliation in the UK courts, which obviously still stands, but I think in his home country, in a trial that was televised, where the weight of public opinion got behind him, and then the jury verdict got behind him. I mean, that's a hell of a journey for a start.
It really is, but if you think about it, in his life as himself, he's having to live with things that were falsely said about him, and I think that he would have spent every last dime he had protecting himself and being able to speak his truth and to say it out loud to everyone, you know.
You're being very calm. How are you feeling right now?
I had to keep my composure in the courtroom. I was holding Tiffany's hand really hard, and
Tiffany, thank you for filming this, by the way.
Shout out to Tiffany. Because we were warned ahead of time that we would be booted if we showed any emotion, and so I'm in shock a little bit, because I've spent 2.5 years of my life researching this case, because I don't want to, I'm not a follower at all, and I do make conclusions on my own based on what I have in front of me. And from the divorce to the UK trial through this, it really made me pay attention to the actual evidence and not my feelings about someone.
And so many people did that. So many people did their own research, and they looked at what was in front of their eyes and documentary evidence, and they came to their conclusions ahead of this jury. And I mean, what would you say to them? Because they've now been proved right.
I don't know. I'm just happy that Johnny has his truth is out there, and that's all, you know, like.
I don't even want to think about this, but what happens next? What happens now?
He's going to tour the UK and play music, and hopefully it's cathartic and therapeutic for him.
And what about her?
You know, I don't have a mean bone in my, I mean, I can be mean, but I don't have a mean bone in my body to say, horrible things about her. I think that she might need some help mentally, and I just think that she's concocted this massive word bubble of negativity about him, and I just...
But I mean, she managed to pull the wool over the eyes of an English judge, and that obviously led to more.
She's seemingly a manipulative female who knows how to play on men, and I just feel for her. I feel for her because she's so highly misguided. She just needs help, you know, and she's. I just feel bad for her.
Okay, well that's it from me. The pub at the top of the hill is calling once more. I hope you've enjoyed watching these YouTube updates or listening to the podcast. It's been quite an extraordinary experience, and I don't know whether I'm going to come back to Fairfax County Court. It's a sort of place that I've grown incredibly familiar with, which is kind of weird, but that's what happens over the course of a long trial. And I've met some astounding people, some brilliant journalists, some wonderful camera crews, some incredible fans of both parties actually. A few more Amber Heard fans came to the trial in the latter couple of weeks and gave me their perspective, and I'm grateful to them. I'm grateful to everyone who's taken part in a park bench conversation, everyone who's commented about these videos, whether it's via the podcast or on YouTube. Thank you very much. I would particularly like to thank everyone who has donated to the reportingdeppvheard.net newsletter. I'm really, really grateful because it has essentially powered my way over the Atlantic, and without your initial statement of intent and willingness to support what I do, I don't think I would be here. So I'm really, really grateful to everyone who's supported anything I've done in any way. It's been a really incredibly life-changing experience, and journalistically speaking, my God, that verdict by the jury is just incredible. The ramifications will continue for years, I think, and so I will probably end up doing a lot more work on this because it's so rich what's been going on, and you know, as I say, Amber Heard has questions to answer, and there's some work to be done there, so I'm hoping to do some work in that area. But for now, I am signing off. I'm going to try and sign off to get the stars and stripes as the final shot, because it has been a wonderful experience being here in America, and pretty much 99% of everyone I've met has been welcoming, generous, kind, thoughtful, intelligent, and just fun to be around. And so thank you to you as well for making it such a brilliant experience. Right then, on this Jubilee weekend, I feel I ought to add God bless the Queen and God bless America.